I really want to cultivate a life where our little boys and our little girls get to grow up together and experience life and see what's there with curiosity. I can't remove shame, but I want to make sure to bring in curiosity when it comes to exploring what we're feeling. And
Mhm.
a lot of people like to tell us how to feel differently or what we can do differently. But I want to show you and share with you and be with you in whatever the thick of it is, sit in the mud with you while you're experiencing it. And that's, we get to co-create, we get to see what ignites all of us, and that we get to celebrate one another on the journey. So that is my wish.
Welcome, Laziena. Thank you so much for being here. Hi. I gotta share with the audience a little bit. Like, I know Laziena and I don't know Laziena, and we're about to get to know each other even more in this conversation. And I'm sure we've talked before, but my memory does not serve me at the moment because there's a lot that's gone on since I last saw you. So, Laziena is uh, a similar experience person when it comes to a personal development course that exists in South Florida. It's called Real, and we've both experienced it as a student and as a supporter, and now we get to experience each other. But I just wanted to share that that's a commonality with us. So, and it's a very interesting one because it was a huge, huge, huge not just an experience in my life, it was like the beginning of my deep dive into myself, into the dark night of the soul, all of that stuff. So I am really excited. You know what I mean. Um, I am really excited about this conversation, Lazina. So as you sit here now, what feels most present or true in your life that you'd be open to exploring? Like a thread from your past that still feels active or connected to what you're experiencing right now?
I would say the thread from my past is so much more linked to grief, accepting grief and being able to name it and move through it and being present with it. Um, and I feel that it's deeply rooted to that sense of belonging that I like to feel in and have community. And so the grief, it can in some ways it shows up in the end of a partnership or the end of a expectation or something
Mm,
that I was looking forward to and that's no longer there. And accepting that I can still be whole and I can still be complete without this piece and looking at it like it's a deepening of my love and of love altogether. However, being present in the human experience with it is part of the journey that I'm embracing. So I'm very much open to speaking about the poles and the what is it, the ebbs and the flows that comes with it. Because some days it's great, and some days like, oh my gosh, grief has been a great experience. I'm so powerful, and some days it's like, take this away from me. I don't want it
yeah, just
anymore.
get it out. I can't take it anymore. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and
and
that's
and
so
do you
important. Hmm.
I yeah, it's very important. In fact, I that's my thing. So my curiosity though is can you pinpoint because you mentioned already where and what age this all these feelings and all these things stem from. And I think it's really well worth listening to for people to hear that it's not these things that just show up. It's things that it's traumas, it's experiences, it's different things that happen, especially when we're children. So, can you share just a little bit about your initial kind of, open doorway into why you feel this way about relationships and wanting to feel like the sense of belonging and all that kinda stuff. What brought you to that point?
I would say the to go to the core of it. My father was murdered when I was 8 years old,
Mm,
and I didn't have a good relationship with him. I didn't feel that my dad wanted me, and I didn't feel chosen by him. And so this was about age 6 or 7. And what I've learned so far is that at that age, I made it mean that I wasn't wanted and I wasn't deserving and all of that. I didn't belong and all of that. But then I made decisions and choices to support that belief throughout every single point in my life. So if I could go back to the most recent grief would be I was in a relationship that I felt was the one. I felt like this is there there's inner child, there's limiting beliefs, we're doing the work, we're learning. Well, I was doing the work and
I know
learning and
that
growing.
feeling.
And then I realized like, okay, I have um I have attachment wounds, and I didn't know what that meant. So when I looked into the attachment wound, that's when I realized that as a child, I deserved to have a loving and caring caregivers, and that wasn't the truth. Not that it wasn't the truth; it was there, but there was these deep, impactful, emotionally impactful moments that happened that never got acknowledged. My
Mm,
father died. I remembered how it happened. Well, I woke up and I heard my family crying, and it was a mournful cry, and I was like, "This is a death cry," and I walked out the room, and did my dad die?" And everybody started looking at me and started crying even more, and I was like, "Oh, so he is dead." And that in that moment, I was like, "Good, he's dead. Now, not, everything is fine. My
mm.
mom doesn't have to get abused anymore. We're good to go. Like we are good to go." But I didn't know at that moment. I was like not accepting men, gonna blame men for everything, gonna stuff my
Right.
needs down,
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
do everything, and I never even grieved my father.
Mm.
So it was when I broke up, when that relationship ended. I shouldn't say I broke up. I got left, and
Maybe that was a good thing, I don't know.
yes,
Okay.
girl, yes. And so when I started to look at that and how it showed up in that relationship, I was like, oh, so I was really looking for my father's love in this and in here, and I wanted to have that relationship with my dad that I couldn't have. So after the breakup, I actually took a month, 1 July, and I decided to grieve my father like I would
Wow.
an 8-year-old, because what 8-year-old wants to be able to do that. I mean, to want their dad to die. So as I was doing that, it was very revealing because I also did the forgiveness exercise, and I was able to see how I became his anger, and that's also how I sabotage other relationships in my life. Um, and then to take it back a little bit more to so it's like grieving that relationship with a partner that I wanted to for the future felt very, very similar to grieving a father that I couldn't have a relationship with anymore. And then prior to that, about 3 years before that, my I got a phone call from my ex-husband saying that he had a inappropriate relationship with my daughter who was underage. And so that ripped my family apart. So that kind of also the grieving from that gave me the opportunities to see how I was responsible for not that I was responsible for what he did, but I was responsible for the safety that my children couldn't come to me. And I needed to look
Mm.
at that. And that also showed me how when I get angry, I would pull away. And when or I would yell and shut down, all these avoidant behaviors and tendencies. But in reality, I was looking for somebody to meet my needs that I didn't know that I didn't have. And when they couldn't, I was punishing them. But all along, it is this inherent belief that my dad didn't want me. Nobody's going to want me. I'm not good enough. And no matter what I do, I'll never be good enough. I'll always be the bad guy. And these were like the major, like archaic ways that it showed up in my life, and it was, oh my gosh, I can go into so many details.
And the sad thing is, though, is that well, it's not even a sad thing. It's also an exciting thing because when you get to the other side, when you recognize what all this stuff is, this stuff, what I see in you is a powerhouse. And the only way what I see in you, I see in me. The only way that you can recognize that in yourself if you're not willing to look at it, is to have it mirrored in front of you or something mirrored in front of you
Mhm.
so you can go like, wait, what? As long as you're open to it.
Mhm.
Okay, something's happening here and I don't understand what's happening and why am I this and why is my head blowing off and why am I like so this or so that? And you start asking all these questions. And if you're willing to ask the question, then you will find out the answer. Just
Yes.
saying, you
Yes.
will find out the answer to those questions, but you're not going to find out about them in the way that you think you're going to find out about them. They're going to come up as emotion. They're going to come up as feeling. They're going to come up as grief. They're going to come up as anger. They're going to come up as all these different things. They're not going to come up as this like magic answer that pops in the sky and says, "Oh, this is what you're doing and this is what you should be doing," and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, first of all, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing the piece about your dad and your ex-husband because that is like not there aren't many people who can like at least some people are still in it. Some people are experiencing the repercussions of that and you were able to make the decision to walk through that and I'm honored that you came on here to talk about this. And yeah, and I just wanted to bring up a couple of things like um, first of all, let's talk about I found this really interesting when you said this. And this kind of starts off kind of the grief conversation. You talked about your family when they were sitting there and you said what you said and they were all in there with the mournful crying and the death cry. I know what mournful crying and a death cry is. Most people from the United States who aren't aware of other cultures and how they experience death because we're so afraid of it that we don't really understand. I mean, we've done it before. We've done those types of things, but we don't realize what it is or what it's for. Can you kind of like I realize that that death cry is the thing that is going to get you out. It's almost like when animals are fighting and they get to the when they're done fighting they shake. That's the death cry. And
Yeah.
mostly in indigenous cultures and in other cultures, it's the women who are doing the death cry. It's not necessarily the men who are doing that. So there's another interesting link there between mourning and grief and women.
Yeah.
So, can you kind of describe what that looks like? If this conversation is resonating with something in you, there's a free ebook in the description if anxiety or overwhelm has been part of your experience. These conversations are here to create space for truth, understanding, and a deeper relationship with your own life.
I've had to do it. It's like it's like a wailing.
Mhm.
But it's a guttural wailing. It literally comes out from your gut into your chest and through the throat. And it's got like a hollowness to it and it
Mhm.
bellows, if that makes sense. That's the best way I can
Well, it
describe.
makes sense to me because I've done it, but
Yeah. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, coming from a different country, I was born in South America, in Guyana, and it's the only English speaking country in South America that's very heavily Indian based. So um a lot of the people that I grew up
Indian as in native Indian or
no,
in
I-
India Indian?
India. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I grew up a lot around a lot of like Hindus, Christians, and Muslims,
Mm.
and my household was Muslim. So that was normal because we didn't. I grew up on a small island. It was like 17 square miles. Whenever somebody passed away, they don't go to the morgue. They come home, you put them on ice, we bathe them. The family members have processes that they need to do with the family members, and every religion has a different way of honoring their death. But like
Mhm.
I saw so many people pass away, and I was involved in it and there. So for me, death wasn't something that I was afraid of.
Right.
I was more afraid of ghosts, but didn't see any. But
Okay.
like
That's
it's a
another
lot of
story and conversation
yeah.
right there.
But like growing up, it was just okay. An aunt has died, an uncle has died, and some people die young, some people die old. So it was common to be around women who were supported by each other. You go to a funeral, the widow is going to be in white, and her supporters are also going to be in white. They're going to hold her as she's just like bellowing this thing out. And then we also had wake nights. So every religion had theirs differently, some for 30 days, some for a week, some for months. And you just go over at night. You're staying up all night long. You're having prayers. You're playing dominoes. People are serving tea
You're
and
crying, you're laughing, you're
yes,
screaming.
because I felt it feels complete. It feels like you have community
Mm,
in the
mhm,
grief, and whether you carry it on or not, that's still part of your journey. But that's how I understood it, that you have to take
okay,
time to mourn, and in
yeah,
that mourning, you have to be able to like allow and release. But I
mhm.
didn't do that for my dad because I was in resentment. But different stuff.
So resentment's a whole other story.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
but that you know what? What's interesting though is that might have the resentment and the resistance to your father may have been the thing that blocked you from grieving.
yes, absolutely.
And when it blocked you, it wouldn't allow you to release all of that energy in your nervous system from the experience because you, especially at your age, you said you were what,
8.
8?
Yeah,
8? Yeah. Especially for an 8-year-old, I mean, you're just on the other side of your coming into
my limiting
being
belief
able to
was gone.
understand. You're yeah, it was like 6, 7, all this stuff's going on with your dad, whatever, you can't comprehend, you don't know what's going on. 8 happens and bam, there's this. Now you gotta figure this out, right?
Yeah,
And when you were talking about the grief piece of it though, it was like you weren't just grieving what happened with your dad because you couldn't because you were so angry about your dad. So it's almost what I'm hearing is that you had to walk through the anger of being angry. You had to get through that so you could grieve him. And then when you're talking about like this present relationship, your expectation of this person who you were in relationship with, like you said, was like you're looking out to that person as the person who's supposed to give you everything your father needed to give you, which and he didn't. So that person could have been the perfect angel and the perfect relationship and the perfect everything, but you wouldn't have been able to recognize it anyway.
exactly.
And it's like, because you can't recognize it, your body, your nervous system has a hard time understanding what that is, especially at 8.
Yeah.
But because you were stuck at 8, as you learned from this course that we were in together, you're also experiencing it at, I don't know what age it was, but it was later in life as an adult.
Yeah, 2
How
years.
long ago was that experience? Or the
Yeah,
breakup?
it was 2 it was 3 years ago, but, I held
Okay.
on for dear life and
Yes, of course.
yeah.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? And but that's the thing. And what I want to say to you, I mean, what is like hang on a second. Let me think how I want to ask this question. Um right now in this moment, like when you're talking about it and we're sitting with this and regardless of me being here, just in your own space, what is coming up for you? And like where are you feeling this in your body as you're talking about it or what's happening right now?
I think I think what I feel right now is, in the bottom of my chest, like on right what it feels like right under my heart. It feels like there's an empty hole. There's this there's this emptiness that's there. Um And oftentimes it comes out in a burp when I guide it out of me. But right now it physically feels like it's sitting on the very bottom of my chest, almost like a finger is like in it. That's just kind of
Mhm.
pressing on it. What I want to say that's a little separate from that is I've learned to um, be alongside it. I can be
Mhm.
grief and joy, grief and happiness, right? So, but when I'm really sitting in it as I'm talking about this conversation, I've gotten to the point now where I understand how powerful it is to share these experiences and talking about them, because it also allows it to feel witnessed and add love to it. So it doesn't feel that heart pressing. So it feels a little bit more releasing that I get to speak to somebody who's listening with
Mhm.
compassion and understanding, in a way that allows me to, not melt away into my own self. Like, okay, I gotta go take care of this tomorrow. Like isolate, I would say, to not isolate.
Sure.
So
Sure.
I feel
Well,
right now I'm feeling supported because I'm having the conversation.
Right. And the thing that most of us do not get is that support. And I've talked about this before. Um, when you support someone who's in grief, you allow them that space. You sit there. You don't shut them down. You don't shut them off. You don't stop them from crying. You don't stop them from doing anything. All you do is hold the space. And so for you sitting in this, I mean, just like you're doing it now, just close your eyes and experience that hole. Like, make room for the hole. Don't worry about the joy. You don't need the joy right now. The joy will come afterwards. But when you're in it and you're feeling it at the depth of your heart and your soul, what do you feel when you just sit in there with it? Like, what's it saying to you?
It's saying to me right now that no one's coming for me. I'm all alone. I'm not going to get through this. I'm better off by myself. I don't need anybody. And that my heart was really broken and I didn't deserve.
No, you didn't. Just feel it. Let it come up. It's okay. That's why we're here.
I want to take a minute along with this to honor my 38-year-old self to my 42-year-old self. Because when I go back and I look at that version of me, that's who I'm grieving for. I It was my most authentic self without awareness. I was moving with love, compassion, and so much heart and belief in myself and other people that there is redemption and life doesn't have to be empty. And I'll fight like hell for my children and for the people that I love. And if it wasn't for that strength that I had at that time, I wouldn't be the woman that I am today. And that's a part of my grief that I really want to hone in on and I really want to love on because that 38-year-old of me was completely blown away by everything and didn't know what the heck was happening and still chose to rise up and confront everything about me. The very question was, how am I responsible for this? And now I want her to know that she's taken accountability and she's still lovable for all the mistakes that she made or all the growth that she needed to have. And she didn't do anything wrong. I'm looking out for her now. And inside of my little girl, like I do know that my dad loved me, and I do know that he did the best that he could. Because if I didn't have electricity when I grew up, he didn't either. And he was in so much survival mode, and I also saw his life for who he is. But I also acknowledge that every little girl just wants her dad, and it's okay that he's not here, but I could still access him whenever I need to.
Yeah. Yeah. You were witnessing and honoring your 38-year-old self. I was witnessing and honoring all of them because you were doing that in front of me. And like, we're human. We're going to do human. You had, like all these things that happened to you growing up, especially with your dad. Of course, you're going to think and behave and feel and have all these things happen in your life. And all it is life giving us the experience to pull it out, which is what it did with you, right? So the other side of that, it's accepting the fact that you went through all the experiences that you went through. It's accepting the fact that you're human, and it's also accepting the fact that you're also bigger than that. You're
One
you
million
you're
percent. Yeah.
you're like infinity. You're everything and you're human. And we're here on this planet to experience these um emotions and feelings and the beliefs and the thoughts. I'm going to fight through because I get it. I was there, and that's good while you're going through it. And when you get on the other side of that, it's like, wait, it's so much quieter over here.
It really is. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean when I say that?
I absolutely do. So one of the things I want to share is that, I've had like lots of experiences that allowed me to remember who I am, the power that's
Mhm.
within, the goddess within, so to speak. And I can use all of these experiences is I love emotions. I think emotions are our greatest teachers. So I fall in love with emotions, but once like that other side you're talking about, it's so much softer, it's so much more
Mm,
loving, it's living in purpose, it's moving from clarity and honoring. However, I'm very careful not to let that become a bypass because in the end of the day, I can have I can have the keys to the universe in so many different ways, whether it's science, philosophy, whatever, psychology, all of these things. But I can't live on that mountain. The goal is to be a human. And what I've completely surrendered to is being Lazina. Being Lazina in this time in my life at 45, here's what I'm experiencing. And I need this experience to teach me something else. And I've gone through so much grief in the past, and I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to get from this? What am I learning? What is the thing? What is the thing? And I'm like, you know what? I have to experience the thing in order to know it. And there's so many
right,
layers of it. So like, at
right,
first I
right.
thought, oh, I just had patterns. I just that's who I am until I learned that they were deeper than just being an avoidant. They're more unmet needs. And what are those unmet needs? How do I meet them myself? And part of that process of being a human being is embracing the emotions as they come up in the moment and feeling them through and not going straight to the insight, because when I do that, I'm not allowing myself to fully go to the core wound, because sometimes these, like when my ex-husband to now, there has been so much work and forgiveness, and the grieving for that alone was its own self. But I felt like redemption because I prepared my relationship with my children, and that gave me the blessings from that. So I'm like, if I can get through that, nothing else can stop me now. But there's no emotional pull to that situation. I can talk about it without
Mm,
crying,
mm,
without anything.
mhm,
But that, I feel like that wound is now a scar. Now where I am and honoring this, like, after everything that I've been through, I thought I had the love of my life, and then, oh, I lost that. There was a great, great lessons from it, and I've gotten so much closer to what self-love is. But there's still, I feel like it's still a journey. Um, and things are gonna come up, and I've embraced that as it comes up, I'm just gonna release it. I'm just gonna embody it and let it flow, because I'm the only one who can have this um the experience of what that release is, and it's what I make it mean and what I tell it to. So I was talking to a gentleman last night about grief, and he's like, well, when it comes up, let it talk to you. Just keep talking to it, embrace it,
mhm.
like get to know the dragon. And I love like shadow work, because it to me that really puts you face to face with it. So I like love to encourage people and myself, like when a feeling has come up, let it speak it, however, let it be, let it come out, let it flow. Because the minute I start to analyze it or think about what it means, I've just robbed myself of whatever it
Yeah,
is that I need. So
yeah,
all of that to say that I completely understand what you mean, because
yeah,
that is
yeah.
exactly the experience that I'm allowing to happen. Yeah.
I wanted you to share that because
Yeah.
it's so well said the way you did that, and, the thing about it is the good news about being analytical is that you're gonna question everything. The bad news about being analytical is that you're gonna question everything,
Yes.
right? And it's so hard because especially for people like us who are analytical, we're like puzzle piece. Okay, that went there, got it.
Yes.
But wait, it just moved. So for you to be able to continue walking in that, it's like what does it feel like in the moment when you are taking that process and working? Can you describe for like I know what it feels like for me, and use the best words that you can because I also know that it's very difficult to describe what you're going through. This is
Yeah.
not a describable thing
Yeah.
at all. There
It's
are never
hard.
words for it.
Yeah.
But it's more like just kind of saying, well, this came up and I had a temper tantrum, which we used to have another word for it within the course that we took. For me, it's not the same. It's not fear, it's a temper tantrum.
That's what I feel it is too, yeah.
But the thing is that when you do that too, I don't know how like for my experience when I was first going through everything, it was about first it was about connecting with those feelings and, the whole head to heart thing. I kept being reminded of that over and over. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then little by little, as things went on, it became okay, well, that feels like it might be sadness, I guess. But here's the other thing, like, I'm an empath and I'm highly sensitive. I have those going. I figured, okay, I have those going on at the same time. So I could never separate. I didn't have a boundary. So I could never separate my sadness from somebody else's sadness. So I couldn't figure that out. So as I went through it, I kept one little baby step at a time. I'd do a course or I do this or I do that. I'd collect my tools. I'd find the things that would help me the most, which one of them happened to be putting my hands on my heart and closing my eyes and connecting with my little girl. I knew you'd know that one. And then little by little, then I started learning about other things like, well, first it started with the fear slash temper tantrum thing, because what happens is our emotions get stuck in our nervous system. It gets stuck in our body, and unless we have a way of releasing it, like you're a little girl at 8 years old when you found out about your dad. Did you have an opportunity to just run and hide and cry and do anything? You had to stay there, and for some reason, because you were also probably um pre adult at 8, right? That's what you had to make sure you were there to take care of everybody, and you didn't even know enough to give yourself an opportunity to do anything with that. And you certainly couldn't run. So your stress response was like
Mhm.
and it froze, and it's inside of you forever and ever, amen, until you recognize that it's there and you start doing things. So that's kind of similar to me because it
Yeah.
got stuck inside of me, and then I'm like, get it out. And when I started doing that, that was like the opening. And then, more and more comes and, whatever. So that's kind of what I'd like to hear how you experience that process of how you work through it. And to the audience, it's not gonna be the same for everybody because we're all individual, but I'm curious to hear what Lazina has to say about her experience in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to touch on something that you said first before I go into that.
Okay.
You're absolutely right. I learned that too about the nervous system, and I have this like movie in my head where it's like, okay, from Bowlby, the psychiatrist from the UK, he said from 0 to 3 is when we learn our emotional needs, and our nervous system learns safety. So I think about this picture. There's a mom cooking. She has a kid in one hand, one's doing homework, the other one's running around, and she's frustrated and she's like, and dad comes home, and how
Mhm.
many households, right? This could be different in so many different households. So dad comes home, he's frustrated, he's not emotionally available, mom needs help, and everybody's stressed out. So of course, like somebody wants to show their report card and not right now, that heart just drops and it just like right? But I didn't understand all of that until so to
But
go
real
into the
quick,
Mhm.
even something that simple, that was
Yes.
nothing huge, that was simple,
Yeah.
but it was still big.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
imagine how many people are abused, beaten, like,
Right.
so many
Right.
I mean, like anyways, so the way that I processed, like, my dad, when I took that month to grieve, I blew up an air mattress in my house, and
Okay.
um, that's just a me thing. I process
No,
things.
it's not.
Yeah. No, no,
It's
no.
just an air mattress thing.
No, no,
The
no.
rest of it.
No, no, no. I'm not saying that. Not that doesn't mean. When I say it's a meeting, I love to do the experiences and take them because like these are all
Yeah.
tools. There's different tools. Like I process anger differently than I've gotten flack for that before. But anyway, so I blew up the
You
air
do you,
mattress.
girlfriend, you do
Yeah,
you.
because I wanted to have a. I wanted to. I when I did fear, it did nothing because mine was anger. Anger allowed me to get everything out. That was simple. So I did fear on my own, and I played three very, very heartbreaking, like so sad songs, right, to get me there. And I'm laying on this mattress, and I'm like doing, throwing my tantrum, right? And I'm allowing myself to feel it. And then I was laying there and I'm crying. And then the words that were coming out, like, Daddy, how could you leave me? Like, how could you do this? Why did you want me? Why was I not good enough? I'm like all of these words are coming out, and I allowed myself to say them. There was moments where I felt stupid and I was like embarrassed, like, what if my kids hear me? What if somebody comes down and see this? And at that point, I didn't care anymore because I wanted to make sure that I give myself the opportunity to fully feel it. Where was it coming from? And it was deep within my stomach. And it just kept coming up, 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 and then I could feel it in my shoulders, and then I could feel it in my throat. And then I don't know if you know this, if this happens to you, but when you're crying, sometimes you can't even get the words out. It's just like
Mhm.
screaming but not there. It was a lot of that, and I even got to that bellowing, that wailing, like I
Mhm.
just wanted my dad. Like, how could you just leave me like this? How could you just not know that I was precious and I was wonderful and I just wanted to be hugged and loved by you? And, like just letting all of that out. And it wasn't one time, I did it several times. And not and always on an air mattress. Sometimes it's just like being out in the underneath a tree with some sound bowls and
Mm.
hand on my heart and just kind of rocking back and forth. Like, is it in my back? Is it in my chest? Is it in my arms? And letting myself say those words from my 8-year-old, from my 6-year-old, from my 3-year-old, from my 30-year-old, every version of me that felt grief as far as losing someone or not feeling important to someone or not feeling like I belonged, those were all of the deep, deep cries that I was pulling out of myself in those ways. But the first time I did it, because I was accessing being intentional about making sure that I go to the fear of being like this abandonment that I feel inside of me all over. I wanted to give myself the chance to just do that tantrum first because I felt like anger and fear has to come out. Like you said earlier, I had to get through the blame and the anger and you're responsible for this before I could get to the other softer side, to the forgiveness and seeing how I also took everything from him and became him, and now I pass that on to my children because I was very angry, I was very abusive, and I was everything that I um didn't appreciate about my father, and my children experienced that. So it was like being able to fully come to like I really needed to forgive myself and the grieving of what I've done and how I've done it. So it just, I mean, it's very consuming and it's hard. And I did that maybe for about 40 minutes or so, and over time it became shorter and it became shorter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And eventually now it's just kind of alongside me, like, oh, I'm crying today. It's okay. How's the meeting going? You know?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I hope that
That makes
answers your question because I mean,
Yeah.
I can go into too much more detail.
Yeah. No, 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 that was perfect actually, because I mean, a lot of times there's an expectation that people have on how to do things.
Hmm.
And the thing is, and the other expectation is we have to be prim and proper, in public, and we're not allowed to show our emotion because it's going to make someone uncomfortable or it's going to make someone upset or whatever. But the thing about doing that is, I mean, there are places and opportunities to express your feelings. And sometimes maybe it isn't like in a restaurant. Okay. That's understandable. But plan on finding a time for yourself to go and experience it as close to when it came up as you can. Because if you hold on to that for too long and you don't release it, it won't come back up, at least not for a while, but then it will come back up eventually, and it's going to come back up stronger, and it's going to eventually it will make you feel it. Or for example, if you're even in this your body is the most important part of this whole thing. So it has to be involved. It can't just be talk therapy or mind or whatever. The body has to be involved. The talk therapy allows you to see and understand what's going on. But if you don't involve it's the body's what holds all of this stuff, right? So if you don't release it from the body, and it's going to be more challenging as you get older and you keep accumulating all of this, and it's like eventually it's going to come up. And the example I wanted to use is like you work 80 hours a week. You're doing all this stuff for everybody else. You're not taking care of yourself. All you're doing is going out and trying to escape this reality of 80 hours a week and spend another couple of hours, going to the bar, dancing at the, whatever you're doing. And I'm not saying this is not a judgment. It's not a bad thing. But what it's doing is it's putting more pressure on top of everything. And if you don't step back from that, your body will take over. Something's going to happen physically to you, your body, or a car accident or whatever. Something's going to happen to a friend. Something's going to happen to a family member. Something is going to make you sick and make you be in bed for a week. So you can actually give your body an opportunity to recoup and come back center. And so your body has this intelligence that most of us don't understand. And it took me a long time to figure that out. And now I finally get it. And now I'm more connecting, and I'm saying keep that word in mind. I'm connecting with my body. I haven't fully connected with it because I was totally disregarding my body for my whole life. And your body knows all this stuff. Have you ever, I say this all the time because I love this. Have you ever cut your finger? And you really don't need to put anything on your finger. It'll just heal up, right? That's how your whole body works. That's what I'm saying. It's like give your body a chance, connect with your body, love your body, accept your humanity, accept all these things. You're going to screw up. It's okay. It's okay to make mistakes, It's not just something that we're fighting and resisting. It literally is changing our lives when we choose to do this, right? And you've had this experience. You're having it now. And it's and just being present to share that experience with people. It's exciting. You see my excitement happening right now. That's just I know. It's like, oh, okay, I
That's
made it
awesome.
through that. Yeah. Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like I see that with you. Like every little step you've made has gotten you to the other side of it. And you've made the step though. You sat with yourself. You honored yourself. You worked through all this stuff. You felt your feelings, which that's another tricky one. People don't want to feel our feelings
Yeah.
because we were told not to. It's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's part of your body. It's part of being human. So when we keep circling back to this humanity thing, I think it helps with all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop talking now. Um, do you have, what was the other question I was going to ask you? Oh, was there anything else you wanted to explore on any of this, or do you think we pretty much
Think
covered?
I mean, I just want to add something to what you said. Like, it is so true. The three body problem is really real. First, I needed to cognitively understand so I could have awareness of what I'm doing. How am I creating the situations in my life? Like, what are the beliefs that are around it that are replaying? And then I think earlier you said talk therapy is not the only thing. You have to go further. You have to go deeper. And having awareness alone is not insight alone doesn't really do it all. I had to learn and get the awareness. Then I had to make a cognitive reframe in my mind. So I'm going to do things differently. And when I say I'm going to do things differently and the triggers come up and I don't feel my feelings, then I'm not connecting that awareness with how I was really, really feeling. And now, okay, I go on the healing journey, and there's another side to it where it's like, okay, once I connect to my feelings, I can start operating from a more empowered space. So I'm no longer listening to the voice in my head. I'm letting my heart tell the voice what I want. That's my desire. But I feel like the gap that's been missing is adding that layer of the body connection in it. So my thoughts and my heart is in coherence and my body is also now breathing in new information because I've been so stuck in the fear or the fright or the freeze. Now I get to release it with the healing aspect of it, and then I can bring in new beliefs. I can say, I receive that. I receive that. I receive that. That
Mhm.
is giving ourselves the full connection. And sometimes we go, I love nervous system regulation, but if I do nervous system regulation alone and I don't connect to my heart and my thoughts, I'm doing a disservice to myself because I've just calmed my body down, but my heart still hurts. I still need
Mhm.
to. I see you like that a lot. That's what I
Yeah,
wanted
I
to add.
understand the yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's and what's really wanna add something to that too, because with the there's different ways, like, if you don't understand what we mean by bringing the body in. So, for example, breath work. There's different types of breath work. There's breath work that will calm you down. There's breath work that will release all of that energy that's stuck in your body that is making you anxious or depressed or whatever. So there's the breath work thing. Then you can go to the extreme. You can go to, like, body movement type of stuff like we did. You can do, which is generally, in my thought, probably one of the best things to do between the breath work and the body movement. Even exercise.
Yeah.
I mean, anything that moves the body, that's pretty
Yeah.
much it. But then there's also things like singing bowls and meditation, if you wanna do that. If you don't know how to meditate, just try to sit still. If you've been traumatized and you can't sit still, do a walking meditation. Whatever you do, just connect with your body in some way. Go into nature. All these things will help you with this to connect to your heart and then to help you to come back to your mind and understand what's going on. And it's a full circle.
Yeah.
That's all it is you're just coming home to
Yes.
yourself.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So,
Very true.
all right, Lazina. I'm going to ask you some questions I ask all my guests.
Okay.
This was wonderful, by the way.
Thank you. I received that.
Good. I'm glad you do. When something in your life no longer feels right, how do you meet yourself in that space now?
But that, oh, I love to. I have this meditation that I do where I imagine that I'm in a dome, a glass dome. I am sitting on a white sofa and my higher self is just floating around in like celestial energy. And I'm connecting to whoever this thing isn't feeling right with. What age is that? And I imagine that they're coming in the door, and I get up and I go and I greet them, greet her, and I give her a hug, and I ask her to sit next to me. And I would ask, what is it that you need right now? How can I
Mm,
meet that need? Where in our lives did we not get that need met? Who can we offer love to in this moment? And while this is a meditation, it's a candle. It's me sitting outside. It is me writing, my either journaling or doing like a voice audio, or even just sitting with somebody that I care about and sharing this experience with. And
mm,
then that allows them to witness me as well. But that's how I meet myself. I like to be able to just give whatever it is that's coming up full attention without distraction so I could see what I need from it and be able to do that. Sometimes my higher self is playing with my hair and I I try to incorporate a lot of visualization in it. And if it's
yeah.
something that's very deep and needs more time, I invite her alongside of me. Okay, spend a week with me. And this is a practice that I started doing when I first did the course.
Hmm.
I imagine that my little girl is outside of me and I'm carrying her around everywhere I go. Brush my teeth in the morning, go in the car, put her in the car seat, whatever. We're in a meeting and I'm like, okay, what's going on? I'm noticing when I'm pulling away, when I'm feeling shy, when that 8-year-old didn't have a voice. How is it showing up right now? What is it
Mm,
that you need? What is it that you want to say? And I'm listening. How can I how can I speak on your behalf? What is it that is there a boundary that you need? But is there forgiveness that you need? So it's just really being present with whatever is coming up and giving myself the chance to feel it out, be in it, and let it just do its thing, man. Because on the other side of that, I get to celebrate that, wow, I did some hard work and I'm proud that got I could
yeah.
I could get to a place in my life where I'm not carrying it and I didn't know that I was
Yeah.
carrying
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
being so
Wow.
present with it. Yeah.
And that's the whole like, it's the whole subconscious thing or
Yes.
unconscious.
Yeah.
Everything is kept in there, and it's like it's that little 8-year-old girl has been running your life, like, my 10-year-old girl is running my life,
Yes.
and I'm like, "Wait, no, 10-year-old girls don't need to have access to modern technology, trust me," you know? Especially when it stops working. But, yeah, I mean, that's beautiful. That's just it's a thing that we all can learn to experience or remember to experience because we know how to do it. We just have been kind of,
Yeah.
it's a big wall in front of us because somebody else told us this is the way it's supposed to be and really it isn't. So when we start remembering that stuff our lives change.
Yes.
And I see two people in front of me right now who are experiencing this life-changing stuff. So
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah.
Okay. What does awakening feel like for you in your own experience?
I feel I don't know that this is gonna sound good, but it
Doesn't
just
matter.
feels like
Let your little girl speak.
melting into everything. Like, oh
Mm.
my God, everything is, oh, that's what that is. Oh my, it's a complete acceptance that I don't know anything and that's okay. And I know a lot of
Yeah.
stuff and that's okay.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I want to know more things. And there's things that I'm very good at. And then there's things that I'm terrible at. And that's okay. Like just this
Yeah.
acceptance of like, just be, and you know how to clean up, you know how to do it differently, you know, grace, you know, compassion, like just melt into love. Like everything is love. And if it's not love, it's the absence of love. So it's like, what more could I ask for? And wow, this
Mhm.
whole
Mhm.
time, it was me.
Y
This whole time,
Wow.
I just needed to come back and get my little girl and hold her hand and be like, I'm so sorry I left you. I'm here now. We can do really amazing things together. That's what it feels
Mm.
like. Yummy,
Mm.
delicious, and juicy. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what's listen, people the way traumatized people are childish.
Yes.
Healed people are childlike.
Yes.
Where have we heard that before? Where have we heard childlike before? I'll just leave that one up. Just leave it there. Thank you for that. That was incredible. Wow. Okay. So here's another one. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. When you hear soul divinity, what does that mean to you?
Oh, I don't listen. I love Gary Zukav, right? There are
Yeah.
certain people that I absolutely love that the way they talk about wisdom. And when I take a little bit of what they have given me and I add myself into it, soul divinity. How else can my soul expand? How else can I learn what unconditional love is? How else can I understand what free will is if I don't end up having this sacred journey of the human experience? I think we are all celestial beings, and in order for us to graduate from Earth school, so to speak, we have to walk this path. It's just a part of the initiation. It's it it's part of everything. It's expansion, it's co-creation, and I just feel like this verse that's inside of me that's deeply connected to spirit and everything that just is. So, in order for my soul to grow and for me to learn the lessons that I need in order for me to continue to grow, that is deeply tied to I forget the word that you use, soul divinity. Like that's just I don't have any other words than that at this moment. It just
And so it is. That's usually what happens. That's that's okay. That's okay too. And it's funny when you were when you the as you got closer to the end of what you were saying, I also brought it back to the human part of us because even as we experience and become aware and we see pieces of our soul's divinity and we see these things and we touch on these things, we still on this planet we're still experiencing ourselves as human in the awakening process to soul divinity. That's my, like, whoa, holy cow type of thing, because that's, and it's okay, like you're saying, it's okay that we do it this way, or it's okay things are
Oh,
happening this way, and it's okay if things don't happen this way, and it's just remembering this stuff.
yeah,
Remembering, this is all about remembrance. It's, we're
right.
not creating anything new
No,
here. This
just
is all remembering.
yes.
Beautiful. I love that.
Oh, yes.
All right. I have to ask you, do you do any work in, what kind of work do you do? You do any work in this field, or what is your
Yeah, so I'm an author of the relationship repair language, which is a framework that I've used to repair my relationship with my children by embodying this work. My goal is to help people have a language for what they need because we're not going to be able to get rid of our feelings. Why would we want to? So when they're coming up, why not have support? So this gives us a language to name what we need whenever things get hard, when it's difficult, so that we can really support one another. So I have some workshops that I do around that, and that's basically my whole life's purpose now is to give the thing that
and
healed me and my family to others.
there it is.
Then
There it is.
really-
And so that's how it usually works. It's on the other side,
Yes.
remember? Okay. Right? So if someone feels connected to you or your work, how can they find you?
Oh, Laziena.com is my website, and it's of I've gotten some great feedback. My website has a lot of resources, and that there's a way to connect with me there. Or you can also social media, Laziena Hodge. I'm very easy to find, and one of my goals is to be reachable because when I feel like I was going to the depths of agony and despair and sorrow, one of the things that I wanted the most was community. It was one of the things that I wanted to see other people on the other side. I wanted to be around it, and it was very difficult to reach people. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna
Yep.
embody that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to clarify, you said Laziena.com. Is it
Yes. No,
LazienaHodges.com
just
or
Laziena
Lazina?
Hodge.
It's just Lazina. Okay. Okay. All right. Works for me. All right. Is there anything else that feels present for you to share before we close?
I really want to cultivate a life where our little boys and our little girls get to grow up together and experience life and see what's there with curiosity. I can't remove shame, but I want to make sure to bring in curiosity when it comes to exploring what we're feeling. And
Hmm.
a lot of people like to tell us how to feel differently or what we can do differently. But I want to show you and share with you and be with you in whatever the thick of it is, sit in the mud with you while you're experiencing it. And then we don't get to deal with just the heavy stuff. We get to co-create. We get to see what ignites all of us, and we get to celebrate one another on the journey. So that
Love
is
it.
my wish.
And we're all in this together.
It's a song. All in this together.
Oh my gosh. Lazina, wow. Thank you so much for being here and your willingness to explore these tender parts of your journey. Oh, and deep, 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 emotionally hard parts of your journey with such honesty and self awareness. And I think this conversation is a powerful reminder of how our earliest experiences can quietly shape the way we see ourselves, what we accept, and how we move through relationships, and how awareness gives us the opportunity to recognize those patterns, stay with ourselves in the moments that matter most, and choose something different. And thank you for being here with us on Awakening Soul Divinity. If this conversation resonated with you, take a moment to subscribe and share it with someone who may need it, or leave a comment below. And if you're an empath, highly sensitive person who is having a hard time, feeling overwhelmed, and moving through grief, or finding yourself repeating the same patterns in relationships, I invite you to learn more about coming home in the description below. Until next time, welcome home. Thank you for being here. Click on one of the videos below to keep going on your healing journey. And don't forget to subscribe.